What do all the best marketers in Web3 have in common?
I'm part of Safary. I made it to Safary. I'm a member of Safary.
I'm the co-founder of Safary, which is the most exclusive network of growth marketers in crypto. Growth in crypto is really a game for the top 1% of marketers. It's really an execution game. You need to be able to see the tides as they are flowing in a certain direction and be very decisive and act quickly.
What's a recent thought that you had an epiphany? You're like,
Most growth leaders are forced to be sort of I think the other thing that people want to see is more uplifting content in crypto, especially around narratives. One thing that hasn't been fully explored still is
GM to everybody in this room and a warm GM to everybody behind the screen. I'm Alina and I'll be your host today, where we have a very special guest. His name is Justin Vogel. If you don't already know who Justin is, he is the most famous person you haven't heard of. He probably knows everybody in the space. Who are you, Justin? What do you do in the Web3 space?
I'm the co-founder of Safary. Safary is both the leading growth analytics platform. We help DeFi teams reach and engage their crypto users, in addition to running Safary Club, which is the most exclusive network of growth marketers in crypto.
On your Safary page, it says growth and marketing. What is the difference between growth and marketing?
Today, we use growth as sort of a catch-all term for what could be marketing and community events and BD, though I think that in a Web2 context, it had a more specific definition around product growth. But today I use the term growth to mean anything that drives impact for the company.
Can you tell us a bit about your experience with Web2 marketing? What were you doing before you joined the space?
So I actually had quite an interesting and diverse background in Web2 marketing. I started off my career doing community-led growth long before it was a thing. So back in 2017, 2018, I was running a community of 10,000 developers on Discord, which was for the community for a mock interview platform where engineers basically practiced data structures and algorithms interviews to be able to get their dream job. And from there, I went and worked at a marketplace that was basically like Uber for warehouse workers. So on one side, we had big brands like Sephora and HelloFresh. And on the other side, we had gig economy workers who wanted to take up daily job shifts at different places. In that role, I was doing both more traditional advertising, so running Facebook ad campaigns all across the United States. In addition to, I built the company's first incentive experimentation platform. I have a weird little Web3 mix of financial incentives, paid ads, and then also community in my Web2 experience.
And what common practices in Web2 have you found to be very effective, if any, in Web3 as well?
Obviously, the incentive piece is very effective in Web3, as we've seen time and time again, though I think that eventually we'll see it become much more sophisticated, like what we were doing in Web2, which was selecting very specific segments of your users and then targeting them with a financial incentive to be able to get them to take the action, specific action that you want them to. But I think that the other thing that we just see in crypto is that it's a very immature but early type of marketing that's done, right? The things that are effective in crypto are events, content, sort of like IRL media as well, and swag and merch and these types of things are not as commonly used in the Web2 context, where it's much more scalable, of large communities, paid ads, and incentives being deployed across geos and cities and segments. It's a very different game in Web3 than I experienced in Web2.
When it comes to Web3, what would you say works, doesn't, and what's next?
At this point in time, it's been quite interesting. The Web3 growth tooling space only really evolved in 2022. And as a result of that, different companies arose to tackle and try and scale different channels, right? So we saw Web3 referral companies, we saw Web3 affiliate companies, we saw KOL marketplaces and creator marketplaces, ad networks pop up, and Quest platforms. And over time, I feel like there was excitement amongst marketers for each of these different channels. They worked really great for a few months and then sort of got saturated and people moved on. I think that the one thing that hasn't been fully explored still is paid ads. Obviously, we know that there's an ethos challenge against ads, but also there is an opportunity challenge as well, is that the biggest quote unquote potential publishers of ads. So that would be major wallets, like you can imagine, like Coinbase wallet, which have been the same way as Web2 publishers did to deploy ads. So I'd say it's still yet to be seen, in my opinion, about whether ads can be successful in crypto. And the only way that they will be successful is if some of these major publishers agree to sell ad inventory. But we haven't seen it quite yet.
Can you tell us a bit more about what drew you to join the Web3 space in the first place?
My background, as you heard a little bit, was about helping people get jobs, whether that was a full-time job or a part-time gig economy job. And so my co-founder and I got really interested in DAOs and sort of like what would it look like to work for these new types of organizations and get hired at them and work in a very free and open way. But though obviously that was a little bit short-lived. We dove into the space in November 2021. So that was like the absolute peak of the last bull cycle. Started building a DAO tool, and we went around to all these different DAOs, and we were like, hey, you should use our DAO tool. And they're like, who else is using it? We were like, oh, well, nobody, you're going to be the first. And of course they're like, okay, goodbye, right? We're not interested. And so that sort of began, as me as a growth person trying to get creative. I was like, well, I have this pseudonymous identity. What if this pseudonymous identity version of myself created a DAO, created a community, and then we used that tool within that community? And so that sort of became the basis of Safary Club, our community of growth leaders. And what we quickly found was that there was an immense demand attraction for the community. There was zero demand for the tool. And so we basically said, let's do the crypto thing and ditch the tool and go all in on the community. And that was the first year and a half of our journey into crypto, was evangelizing and growing this awesome community of marketers in crypto.
So that started in 2021. You said you got in at the top. What kept you in the space? What kept you building? What kept you going?
I'd say that both our company, in terms of our tool, and also the community of marketers that we're growing is very counter thesis, in that in the bull market, nobody cares about growth because everyone's growing like crazy, right? But in the bear market, everyone is hyper-focused on growth. How can we grow? What does this look like? And founders are much more attuned to growth as well than they were in bull markets. So in some ways, I actually prefer the bear market for that reason, because the topic of growth marketing is so much more prevalent and meaningful and difficult and interesting than it was in the bull market, in my opinion.
So who are these people making up Safary?
Safary today is 275 growth leaders across the world. We've intentionally kept the community quite small and intimate. Who they are, we look for people that represent companies that aren't in our community today. So this is a very, very diverse group of people. They represent over 40 countries, around 250 different companies. We look for companies that are new and early stage. We think that that's where the most interesting and innovative growth strategies often come from. Much more so than the Coinbases and the MoonPays of the world.
What do you look for in a growth leader?
I think that there are a few qualities that really are meaningful to me when I think about the great growth leaders that are in Safary. A few of them are curiosity, grit, and drive. Especially in crypto today, it's really an execution game when it comes to growth. You need to be able to see the tides as they are flowing in a certain direction and be very decisive and act quickly. And the curiosity piece is sort of with that as well. You need to be looking around and seeing what's happening beyond your space, your subvertical, in order to be able to move with the tides in the right way that enable you to grow your business.
What are some of the most common struggles of marketers? What do they come to therapy for?
One of the big things they come to get therapy for is working with technical founders who don't understand marketing, or a lot of technical founders think that marketing is magic, right? That you can just be like, all right, how do you make my project go viral? And there are a lot of steps that need to happen before that. You need to build a messaging strategy. You need to think about what content hits. You need to think about who your users are. And a lot of the times, growth leaders get sort of thrown into the fire, and they're saying, we don't know who our users are. We don't know what messaging works. And you can't sort of go viral and build a sort of compelling growth strategy without having a foundation. So growth leaders need to build that foundation on the fly and then execute accordingly against it. And that's a really, really hard challenge to do that quickly and in the time period that many technical founders expect them to do it.
If you were to send a message to all technical founders out there, what would you tell them?
I want them to think about hiring a marketer as a long-term strategy. A lot of people think about marketing in the way that they think about an agency. They hire a marketer, and then if they don't feel like they're like delivering, like sending it viral within a few months, they axe that person. And I think that that is really harmful to our industry, and our industry has lost many different great growth leaders that could have grown this industry far and wide beyond because they just got burned by too many technical founders that fired them after they even were able to get started. So it takes a lot of time to build the foundation, and then you can grow on top of that. But you need to give growth leaders time to build that foundation, and growth doesn't happen overnight. So that would be sort of my message for them, is that if you're not ready to hire somebody for a year, then you shouldn't hire them at all.
What is the vision for Safary Club?
I mean, the vision, I think, is just to continue to accelerate the careers of growth leaders. The way that we see Safary Club is building an ecosystem. So we see ourselves as building up their careers, giving them confidence, putting them on conference stages, giving them speaking opportunities, giving them other opportunities to build their brands. It's in our best interest to help promote the careers of growth leaders in any way and shape and form that we can. We really see them as the unsung heroes of our industry, and we want to give them the stage and platform that they truly deserve.
Do you make an effort to meet all the Safary members in person when you have the chance?
Yeah, we have been hosting these like very casual meetups at every conference that we go to for the longest time since we were bootstrapped for the first like year and a half of Safari's journey. We would just say like, hey, like meet us in this park near wherever the conference is being held. And we actually found that like, well, one, that's nice because it's free. But the other thing is like people just, want to get outside of the happy hours. They want to be outside with good people, a curated group of people. And those are really successful for us and helped us build a lot of bonds and close friendships with Safary members and enable them to do the same with each other. So yeah, every conference that we go to and also every conference even that the team doesn't go to, there are Safary members that meet up with each other.
What would compel you to attend a main conference again? What would need to change for you to be excited about attending the main event?
They would definitely need to have marketers on the stage. We see almost never is there true marketing operators on conference stages at main events, which is sad to see and will definitely change soon. The first time that this will happen actually is at Permissionless next month. Blockworks asked us to ask Safary Club to run their first marketing track. So to all those who are running conferences, me and other people would love to see marketers and other operators as well talking about exactly how they do their job, whatever their job is, rather than just founders and devs showing their products.
Can you share more about what changed in your life as a result of doing Safary? Who are you now compared to who you were then?
In Web2, growth was so much behind the scenes, right? You're running Facebook ads, you're like maybe occasionally talking to users, versus now today, most growth leaders are forced to be sort of the public face of whatever company they represent. A lot of growth leaders, they came from Web2 like myself, were much more introverted than extroverted. I think that in our space, it's, we're all building our confidence together basically and being a little bit more extroverted versions of ourselves as we navigate and become the face of the companies that we represent.
And what are you growing towards now? What is your purpose?
I think, my purpose is to help growth leaders be the best versions of themselves that they can be and really thrive in their role in the industry, and also to help evangelize and popularize those growth leaders as a function. Essentially, marketers haven't proven themselves to the industry that they need to exist, that they need to function. So I think that is still sort of like what our mission is, both for myself and the Safary community and beyond, is to build that case for marketers within our industry.
Why is it important for you to grow this industry in the first place?
I think at this point in time, right, I've just formed bonds with so many interesting people that I never would have met from across the world, across our space, and I really believe in them. For me, I see myself as a connector more than anything else. People might see me as an extrovert because I'm around people all the time, but I actually just want to connect good people that I know together. And that's fundamentally what Safary does, right? I meet nice people and then I say, you should meet this other nice person, right, in our industry. And through the two nice people meeting, they go off and create new, interesting things together that they build together. We've had people in Safary meet each other and become co-founders of marketing agencies together, take on projects, join each other's companies. So I really just want to see the people that I meet that are interesting continue to thrive. And so there's a larger vision of what that means for marketers. But I think that for me, what drives me is really on that human person-to-person level of wanting to see great, interesting people that I know and like meet each other.
How do you stand out? You mentioned Sapphire. Are there any other tips and tricks how to make your, especially written content, be engaging and stand out?
I feel like I'm in a somewhat fortunate space because I have this community of growth leaders, right? And so any of my tweets that you think are funny probably are a direct result of something that somebody told me as like a real life experience that they had. And then from there, tweaking it to make it slightly more satirical, I think always helps. I think the other thing that people want to see is more uplifting content in crypto. A lot of what we see on crypto Twitter is like kind of like sad or annoying or like a shit post. More uplifting content can also be helpful, especially around narratives, right? I feel like what was so compelling to me, at least in the 2021 cycle, was the whole macro level narrative of crypto being able to disrupt powerful intermediaries from every industry and every sub-industry vertical. And I feel like we kind of lost a lot of those macro level narratives for how crypto can save and further the world in the last like couple of years of the bear market. So I would like to see more content around those two things. One, people thinking really deeply about why we're all here in the end, what this technology can do for the world, and do for people that are beyond our little bubble that we're in today. And then the second part is, making more relatable content, poking fun at ourselves a little bit, not taking ourselves too seriously, and sort of enjoying the journey of what it means to be in this silly, crazy industry that we're all in together.
How can I get involved with Safary Club?
You can DM us on Twitter at Safary with Y Club, or you can apply to join the community. We have a community application on our website as the best way to get in touch. And even if you're not selected for the Safary community, feel free to DM me and I'll try and match you with somebody that you would find really compelling as well.